Say good morning. And I forgot to tweet about it, so I'm gonna do that right now. Howdy folks, how y'all doing? Hopefully pretty good. Today we're gonna be working on some more complex queries. For video URL, some more complex queries for our little FAQ bot. And I mean, this is a very small example, but I'm hoping that the techniques demonstrated here will be applicable to a wide range of assistants, depending on what it is you need to do. Hi, Enrique. Welcome to the stream. Ooh. Oh. There we go. I had to spell check myself because I said that the stream is lice, and it is not. It is live. So, last week, we worked on getting the information that our user is providing to our assistant and making sure that it matches, you know, more or less some of the information that's actually in the database. So the sort of intended user for this assistant is, I want to put this up on my personal website, like eventually, I'll get to there. I only work on it 1 hour a week, literally, so it'll happen when it happens. And in this application, one of the things that people ask me a lot and that I hope that my assistant can help with is like, hey, I'm getting started in NLP, can you recommend a book or can you recommend a resource or something? And I want to be able to answer that question based on a lookup with a database that I can maintain. So the database is a Sqlite version of this CSV file. As you can see, it has 7 rows, one of which is the key. So not a super large database, which is going to definitely factor into our situation. Welcome back. Good to see you. And the thing that we did so far that we got working is that people could ask for like a book and it would recommend a random book. But what we didn't have is that people could ask for, you know, I want a book on NLP and then get a book on NLP. So that's what we're going to be working on today, having people be able to query multiple fields at the same time in natural language. And we actually have most of it done already, which is nice. So let me open up the actions file. This was our to-do list. And we did this last week. So when somebody enters information, it'll be stored as a slot. It'll be stored in a slot in our assistant. So a slot is a way of storing information over time in the assistant. We've actually been having some discussion about the way that we use slot at Rasa and the way that like other platforms use slot, and it's slightly different, and I think it might be a source of confusion. So something we're thinking about. Yes, it should be updated on GitHub. I do my best to remember to push remote at the end of every session, but sometimes I forget. Mostly I try to remember. And the GitHub should be in the YouTube link as well. Yeah, so last week we did sort of fuzzy matching, so someone can enter, you know, pretty much anything in the slot and we'll find the thing that fits most closely within the database, so they don't have to know what's in the database and type it exactly correctly. And now we're going to actually go ahead and design our queries. So the paradigm that we looked for was first that we're going to look for things where both fields are correctly filled, right? So if someone wants a book on NLP, first we'll look for a book on NLP. And then if we don't find that, we will look for either a book or something on NLP. And if we don't find either of those things, then we'll be like, oh, sorry, there wasn't anything. So that's the general flow. And the idea here is that, I mean, like, it depends on your database setup, right? Whether or not this is a really good way to do it. So my thinking here is, has your database been indexed? If your database has been indexed, then this is definitely, I think this is going to be the most efficient way to do it. If your database has not been indexed and you are, you know, doing this every time and you start by looking for both and there's no caching, this could end up actually being very expensive. But my example is 7 rows, so it doesn't matter. And even if I added a lot of examples, like, I can't see this database being more than 100 rows. I really can't. So with that in mind, I think we are going to go with this paradigm, knowing, big caveat, if you got yourself a big database, if you got one of them million rowers, may not be the best choice for you, again, depending on specifics. One thing about SQL is that the basics are the same and the specifics are very diverse. All right. So we have this existing function here that creates a connection to the database. This DB querying methods is something that we've written, and it does things like the fuzzy matching that we talked about. And we have the slot value. So resource type is the name of the slot, and the tracker is the component that is keeping track of everything that's happened in our conversation. So this is from the index, you mean? There's a little bit of a lag, so I'm not 100% sure what you are responding. So what I mean when I say indexed is, like, do you know what rows have specific pieces of information in them, or are you going to have to go through and look at each of the rows to figure that out? I'm pretty sure that's called indexing. Pretty sure. I will say I am not a DBA. Ask your SQL guru about that. So, right, so right here we have this function that gets the closest value for a slot name and a slot value. The slot name is the name of the column, and the value is the value that we are looking for inside that column. And here we're just taking the first response from whatever that data structure is. And then this is actually a debug statement, so I can get rid of this. Actually, I do not think we need it. So let's get rid of that. And then, oh, right. So this is actually part of the fuzzy matching. So we've got, this will rank the things in the column specified with how close they are to the actual things in that column. So it returns one of the things in the column that is most like the input. And then we use that to query the database. You know what, y'all? I think I changed my mind, because we already have a method that queries one field at a time. So I think what might make sense is to do that twice and then look for the overlap if there is some, and if there isn't, then randomly yeah. I think that's what we're gonna do. And what does return text return us? Okay, so this returns the actual text that the that the assistant is going to give to our user. And it will, you know, I'm using some templatic stuff, so if there's no resources, it returns that there are no resources. Otherwise, it randomly samples and uses templates and the information in the database to tell people about the, so this will be, the text that is sent to the user will be generated at runtime. It's procedural. So I think what I want to do, so going back up to the actual place where we're doing the query, so the getting the query results, I think we want to do that twice. Get rid of this. My comments are no longer relevant. So let me update. Look for either, find union, if none, inform non-person. No. Actually, I don't think I need to handle that, because the method that I'm using to procedurally generate the text for the returned information already has a way of handling being passed an empty set. So I think past Rachel, with her fairly good way of setting this up, has made our life easier. Good job, past Rachel. Nick says, can we assign the value for fuzzy matching, matching percentage? I believe it is Levenstein distance, so it's the number of characters you need to change, and they have been ranked. We could, I'm just not doing anything with it. And that is being done with this get closest value method that we wrote down here. So it's just extracting the top match. So whatever you put in, some match will be returned, and that might not be ideal for all applications, but for, you know, this sort of very open-ended thing where people are just asking questions, like I think any of the resources they ask, any of the resources in the database I think are good resources. So I would rather give somebody a good resource that's not an exact match for them than have a bunch of responses that are like nothing, nothing, nothing. And that's just my preference from a user experience standpoint. Hey, Bobby. So we had that information and we have thrown it out. I'm not using it at all, but you could if you wanted to. So yeah. So I'm wondering if we want to keep So the reason that I have type in here is that I have a field in my database called type, which is like book, course, video, etc. And I'm wondering if I want to keep this as a separate method. I think I do. I think I'm going to keep it as a separate method, and then I will write one that is extremely similar. And if and when I decide that it's a good idea to, I will delete this type method. But keeping it in for now means that it should continue to work the way that it used to. Good night. Okay, so I've just copied the method. I'm gonna, sorry, copy the whole class, and I'm just gonna create a more general class that is query resource. Sorry, query resource, not resource type. I actually need you right now. So and make myself smaller. So code. All right, so what are we doing? The dispatcher is what sends messages to the user, so that's what we're using to send the text back to the assistant that returns the result. So I want to keep that. The tracker is what has the information for the whole assistant. So keep that. And the domain, I think we don't need to change either. Okay. This can be the same because we're going to use a single connection. Here is where we're going to start to spice things up a little bit. So instead of having a single thing, we actually need two. So we're going to start with this resource type, which makes sense. And then we're going to get the other one, which was, I forget what it was called. So let's go back to our domain. The information that we're getting here is going to be provided by the assistant, and they are slots. Here we go. So we have resource topic and resource type. So I want to get information from the resource topic, which is going to be something like NLP or machine learning or Rasa or something related. Go back to my actions. So, okay, so the slot with the resource type is called resource type. The slot with the resource topic is called resource topic. So I'm going to change this to topic. And I guess I could do this in a more robust way if I had a lot of fields, but I think people are probably only really going to query 2 at a time, maximally, and I think that they're going to be these 2. So thinking about what it is that people want to do, I don't think people are going to ask for like specific authors or specific URLs. They might ask about level, so like degree to which. So level is like, is it basic or intermediate or advanced? It's this last column here. So intro, intermediate, intro. I'm going to leave that aside though. We can add it in the future if we need to, and we should be able to just sort of extend the current thing that we're doing. but I really think maximally people are going to be asking about 3 things, so I don't think it makes sense to set up a framework to handle a lot of things. Is my thoughts. So going back to this, and then the name of this field is topic capital. Look at me having consistent naming. That is a little bit unlike me. I don't know, I'm getting better. All right, excellent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop all this so this return text in dispatcher is going to be return results, print results, user. So this section here, we are going to only have to do once for everything, so we can stick that down at the end. This section here, the fuzzy matching and then the select by slot. Okay, yes, so we do actually want to do both of these, and I think it makes sense to do these right in here with this. So what we're saying here is like, this is the information provided by the user. So the tracker looks over the history of the conversation. We're getting the slot is resource type, and this is going to be the text provided by the user. And here we're going to transform that text provided by the user into something that matches something in the database, so our query returns results. And it will be the thing that is closest to the information that the user provided that's also in the database. Again, we may get irrelevant results here, but I would rather return something than nothing. And your desire for that will depend on your context. All right. And I'm going to call this resource type value. We're going to overwrite this other thing, and that is okay because it'll be a thing that is more relevant and help. That ain't gonna work. There we go. Nope. Why did that not work? Presumably because I typed poorly, right? This too long, very possible. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. We can always run a linter later to we can always use a linter later to go through and correct things like having line widths that are too long for topic. So this is going to be, so type is things like book, course, video. Topic is things like ML, NLP, Rasa, things that people might ask about. So we are also going to want to do fuzzy matching so that we get results. Doesn't like to get results. Probably somebody, but when I query a database, I know that I like to get results. All right, and it'd be resource topic. And if I were better at VS Code, I would probably know all of the little shortcuts to this automatically. However, I don't. Okay, fantastic. So at this point, we have the closest values. Okay, so this is the not yet returning entries from the database. Right now, it is just returning the closest matching value from that field. So now we need to get the actual entries. So I'm gonna do that again once for each of them. Just all together. Get query results. Append here type, and instead of slot name, we have resource type name. Instead of slot value, we have resource value. Okay, and that should all be the same, and we can use the same connection. I'm not worried about that. Famous last words, but I think it should be fine. All right, and now we're getting the query results for the topic. You know the fuzzy matching works. Banala says, do you think it would be better to walk through the code and what all these things that were thought of while building it? Yeah, so this particular project we've actually been working on for a while, like a couple months. So I appreciate that there are new things that you may not have seen if this is your first time joining. And I would just, if you see something and you're like, what's that? Please feel free to ask in the chat and I will do my best to stay on top of it and answer questions. There we go. Okay. So at this point, we should have query results. These could be empty, which is fine. We should have query results here. Those should be empty. So I think what we should do is from here, we should get the union. So things that are in both. That faces, I don't know what data structure this is. I'm pretty sure it's a list. List of just values. All right. So okay. Okay, so what does fetch all return? So I'm using the built-in Python Sqlite. Fetch all Sqlite. And I just want to make sure that I'm interacting with the database structure that I think I am. It's an array. Okay, it's a multi-dimensional array. Fantastic. Can I hide left? Yes, I think I am done with that for a bit. And I remember looking this up. I'm just going to specify that that's an array there in my code, so when I scroll down here again in the future, because I've inevitably forgot what I was looking at, I will know the answer. Okay, so I need to know the union between two arrays. Let me pseudocode this out. So look at union between arrays. If empty, randomly select one item. Yes, I think that makes sense. So I guess the problem comes down if I try to randomly select if empty and arrays union is the right one, right? Set theory diagrams. I'm pretty sure I'm looking for like the overlap of stuff, right? All right, so no, I'm looking for the intersection. This is the intersection, this is the union. Okay, so we'll check for the intersection. So are there overlapping rows that are in both data sets? And if there aren't any, then we'll take the union and randomly select from one, assuming it's not empty. And if it's empty, we'll just have it be empty. And that should be fine because our method for returning text can handle empty. Oh, does that change the little side pane? Hey! Great tip. Thank you. Do I have a sticky note where I can put that up? Nope, I'm definitely going to forget it. I will try to remember. That's great. Okay, so coffee. So this is not the union, this is the intersect. Always get them backwards. If empty and union is not, then randomly select from the item from the list. Otherwise, get query results from 1 to arrays, I think is simplest. Yes. Okay. So inner join, intersection. Yes, thank you. There's a little bit of a delay between y'all and me, so I try not to ignore folks, but if there is a pause, that's fine. All right, time to Google. Python. Actually, I'm not using Google. Time to use a search engine. Python get intersect of 2 array. Intersection of 2 arrays in Python. Ugh. Lambda expression and filter functions. All right. Okay, so this is a person defining a custom function. And no shade to this person, but I would like a pre-built function if possible that somebody else has tested. I'm efficient. I try to replace lazy with efficient in my ooh, union and intersection. That'll be helpful. Bitwise or between 2 arrays. All right. Okay, so there looks like there's some bitwise operators that we can use. I think this is just supposed to be an ampersand. Oh, set makes a lot of sense. We know that our arrays are already sets, so all of the... No, we don't know that that's going to always be the case in the future, though. No, we do know that it'll always be the case in the future. Sorry, what I was thinking through there is sets only have unique items in them. Do we know that the query results will always be unique? And I was thinking, oh, we might add a duplicate column or duplicate row to the database. Even if we do that, the primary key will be different. So we will never have exactly, we will never have a database query that's not a set for this database. That feels like something that's possible in another database paradigm that I am not familiar with. Okay, so we should be able to, if results topic, get query results type. Oh, sorry. Object names should not be verb phrases. That's for function names, and that's my personal stance on the matter. If query results topic section and okay, results topic, and like they said that it's a set first. I don't know that we need to do that, but my guess is that we actually do. So even though there aren't duplicates, my guess is that we do need this set function here to cast this as a set because this bitwise operator only works on sets. That feels right to me. Enrique says, next time use a bot to search in a search engine. Yeah. That seems pretty against the terms of service of most search engines, but woo, perhaps it could make sense. Python check if list is empty. That's what I want to do now. Python check if list is I want it to be not empty. So if we have both things, then we want to can't just query from one thing because we know about the second thing, right? Sorry, so what I'm saying here is, I can just randomly return one of the results from one of the subsets. No, because we don't know that the items in one subset are also going to be in the other subset. One set are also going to be in the other subset, so we need to find the union. And to do that, actually, I think it makes sense to do this outside of our if statements. So the intersection of two queries. I think overlap is clearer because I don't know that everyone who's going to be looking at this code necessarily knows set theory. Map has a lesser time complexity compared to list. Don't know if the large database or not, just letting you know. List comprehension. Thank you. It is a very small database. It has 7 rows. But yes, this is something that I might want to go back and redo in the future. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. I really don't see this database ever having more than 100 rows. Because it's a database of learning resources I recommend. And I'm pretty stingy when it comes to recommending learning resources because I'm picky. So, so if the length of query results overlap, and I believe I did something similar down here, so I'm just going to find that. Okay. Rows as text is the function that we wrote there. I think we've already done that in the way that is necessary. Okay, so this sets the return text to be okay, so I think will work. Okay, so if the length is greater than 0, or could be greater than or equal to 1, then our return text is going to be the first, let's make this a real variable and not me pasting things inside each other. Okay, so if the length of the overlap is greater than 0, then this method randomly selects one of the rows to generate templatic language with. So if we have an overlap, we will use the overlap. And then it was otherwise, if the length of both of the inputs okay, so there could be a situation where you have one query that is empty and one query that is not. So if the length of plus greater than 0, do I have a preference for returning something by topic or something by type? I think I do. I think, also I don't remember if, I don't remember the, CLIF. Okay, so if this is not true, if we don't have any overlap, then if the length of as a list the topic, because I think that's the one I care more about. Because if somebody asks about machine learning and they want a course, and I only have a machine learning book, I think that is more helpful than recommending them a course on another topic. So I think the topic makes sense. So if we have something that matches the topic, we'll return that. Otherwise, if something matches type of material but not the topic, then we'll return that, even though I think that's a little bit less useful, but again, more useful than not returning anything, which I want to avoid as much as possible. Ooh, I should definitely make sure that that is the correct thing. So click. And then in all other situations, the return text can also be querying the overlap, because in that case the overlap will be 0, and the returned text will just be, hey, sorry, we couldn't find anything. Return info for both, or topic match, or type match. And for this one, I think it makes sense to tell people that I know that this isn't an exact match for them. So this should be X. I think I can just use string concatenation, and I always have to look up this because I learned it first with Python 2, and it is different in Python 3, and I always forget the ways in which add my code. It's on my GitHub. My GitHub is rctat my Twitter. Python 3 string concatenation. I misspelled concatenation so badly I got no search results. Can I do this over 2 rows? I don't think I can. So people know that, hey, I know that the thing that you asked for, I didn't exactly give you. Sorry about that. That should work. Okay. So we should always have something for return text, which is fantastic. Yeah. All right. So I think the last thing that we need to do is make sure in our config sorry, our domain, it doesn't matter about the config, first. Oh, nope, sorry, it's the text. It's the text name that I gave it. So I'm just making sure that I have, there we go. I have told my assistant that this exists and that they should use that instead. And I think what actually might make more sense is just to, now that I think about it, update all my stuff. Okay, it doesn't show up in any rules, any queries. So I'm just changing the function. I still have the old function, the query resource type. And you may be wondering, Rachel, you were always looking for 2 slots. What if 2 slots haven't been set? Well, in the case the 2 slots haven't been set, then the slots will have the value none, N-O-N-E, which is not a super close match to anything, but will probably return NLU for the query type. So that's something that we do have to think about, and we might add some sort of gate for the filtering how close the match is for the fuzzy matching in a bit. But first, I want to make sure that it works, and I am almost certain that at some point I have an array where I think I should have a list. Right directory. And that will, yes, cause problems. So I bet when I run this, I'm going to see a bug. So this is starting the action server, which is a server that runs the code in our actions.py file. Oh, all right. And this server is just handling the code. So let's start another server to run our assistant so we can talk to it. I want... sorry, I think that I have done a whoopsie. So first of all, I don't remember if I've saved on. I think I have. I want logging in my action server so I know what's going on. So Rasa run actions. Lots of information. The log --debug is the same thing. And as you can see, we already get a little bit more information. Fantastic. And I don't think I actually care about information from Enrique says, what a polite apology. I try. All right. I want a book about NLU. This should return to me a book about NLP. What happens? That is a book about NLP. I am mad about that. All right, so what happened? Planet. All right, thank you. I was hoping for more information. It is possible that I mistyped the flag. Need to. I shouldn't need. I should need to. You're right, because I updated stuff. Thank you, thank you. So stop. I was gonna say I shouldn't need to retrain because I just changed the name of the I only changed stuff in the action file, but I did not. I changed stuff in my assistant as well because I'm pointing it to a different function. Thank you. I did. I modified the stories, not the NLU. So I think I think retraining is, I mean, it's like you know, upgrade, update if you're working in Linux. It's always a good idea to do just in case. If this works first time, I'm gonna be shocked. Shocked, I tell you. All right. What do I have open? I have the action server open, so I can just will it work? There's no way. I want a go on. So this should return the Rasa course, I believe. In fact, they don't think we have any videos on Rasa in the day. That's what I was thinking would probably happen. All right. Timeout because request response. Kernel server error. Let's head over to our list All right, where was our issue? Response in the book. Wait. A string. Ugh. So this problem is not in my code. This is an error from a package that I'm using. That I did not write. So, am I working on GPU or CPU? I mean, the computer I'm on right now has a GPU, but be very frank, I am using almost all of it for the chroma keying for my green screen. So I'm just training on my CPU. Does it say what it passed in? Like, what was the text that caused a problem? Let me check my database. I have a suspicion. That it is specifically this. I think that is the problem right there. So this is one cell, and all right. So the thing about this is that I am now going to have to. So I'm just creating this to be 2 columns instead of 1 column, where they each column has a single text thing and each of the 2 hickeys. I'm making the data tidy. Tidy data is a specific technical term. OB. Okay, so now the problem is I need to remember how to send my CSV to my Sqlite database, and I for sure do not remember how to do that. So, got a little bit of time. Let me check my calendar. Yeah, we do have a little bit of time. So, to get that working, replace Sqlite. It's a table in the database. Table with CSV. I remember I used a command line. I should specify Python. I remember I used a command line tool to get the CSV into the database in the first place. All right, Stack Overflow. Oh, that's handy. So, reading docs in a different window. Nope. Where did it? So, there is a way to create Rita CSV in with Pandas, and then do that. So I think we can do that actually pretty easily. do I have an IPython notebook in here somewhere? I do for sure. All right. Oh. This is specifically what I did to create this. All right, so let's import those as PD. Nope. No. No. Sorry, when I hit enter to go to the next line, it keeps expanding that. I want it to be PD. Jiminy Cricket. And then check out my actions. I'm just going to steal this create connection method. Okay, so I also need to import one, two, and my database file is called again. Quotes. Okay, so all this is going to do is it's going to create a connection to my database and then put my copy that from Stack Overflow question. So the CSV file is it's in my top level directory and it's called eduresource.csv. So where's the file we're working in now, huh? All right. Oh, okay, so this is going to be, this is in my current directory, and then my up one, yes. So this is going to read in from the directory above my current directory. I'm going to create this connection first. Also, that's definitely not what the file is called. S-O. Did not check that my tab complete had worked, and for sure it had not. Okay, so that's going to take that, but I need the name of the table, and the name of the table is eduresource. All right, let's see if I can run this without errors. Nope. Ah. One more time. Nope, same error. Parser error. Trace back. Most recent. Enrique says pipe would be better than tab or comma as separator. They're hard to type though. Oh, yeah. Pandas import pandas read. Actually, maybe I can just change. So my guess is that it doesn't know that it's a tab separated value, and because the database is, this is called a CSV. It is a TSV, so you can see that here between things we have a tab rather than a space, or rather than a comma, because I have used commas with. Also, much more common in Europe, TSV. I don't know why. In TSV. All right. Pandas read in TSV. How to load a TSV in Pandas data frame. It's CSV. All right. Is recommended. That's cool. And then, okay, so you just specify this. Like R. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it is in fact called that. All right. So, problem here is that the table name is not defined. Table is called that. I might be able to check out with the Sqlite connection. Can I get the list of tables? Go back, little changes. Okay. Sqlite 3. See, this is stuff I just didn't want to deal with, but that's okay. We can do it now. Sqlite 3, list all tables. I think we're probably going to have to do 3 more objects to make this work. Oh, right. And specify that I am in fact looking at Python. How to list the tables in a Sqlite 3 database in Python. That is for sure what I would like. Thank you kindly. So it is a function. This person. Cool. Okay, there's nothing built in. It looks like surely there's something. Surely. So just sort of looking through the suggestions that people have, it looks like most people are querying all the tables. Please tell me that there's a built-in and that these are just funky selections. Nope, you gotta list everything. Well, easiest way to return a list of tables when using Sqlite command shell is to use the .tables command. Yeah, that's what I want. I want that in the Python package. Python Sqlite 3.tables. And we're back to just querying everything. Making me tired. Okay, no, we can do it. We can get through this. I read the chat. Yeah, I do. My coders don't even enable a nightbot and not I don't know, is that something you can do on Twitch? Can you send alerts? What's the error? What are you trying to do? Okay, so the error is that tracing back through my mind, when I try to put my data frame, what I read into an existing table in the database that I'm currently being connected to, it does not work, and I get the error name is not defined. Actually, I wonder if this is because this they want you to define by argument, not they don't want you to define by position. Let's see. And bf.to_SQL. So let's look at the Look at the documentation. Always a good step. Love a good documentation. All right. Name, team, name of a SQL table. The Stack Overflow example lied to me, and I take that personally. So the Stack Overflow example had that as just an object, and it should, in fact, be a string. Have I tried using SQL Alchemy? It's a bit less low level than SQLite 3 Connect. Oh, that's good to know. I'm using Sqlite because it is built in Python, so nobody has to download nothing, and it is. That's the whole thing, the whole reason. All right, get ready. But yeah, I'll look into SQL Alchemy because SQLite 3 is, as you have said, too low level. All right, at this point, I want to see. Doesn't work in a Python file. All right, so now let's see if when we ask for can you recommend a book on interesting. It looks like this is not being identified and set in the slot. Oh, and now we have no return. That's great. Same error again that we got. Go to. Yeah, same error again. Let's restart. Are we able to connect the IPython to SQLite? So we have a connector in our. We created a connector to our database using the Sqlite 3 connect function, and we're using that to interact with our database, which ran without errors. So I'm assuming. That, as they say, Visual Studio is crashing. That can't do nothing. So it ran without errors, so I think that we made our changes to the database. Actually, we might want to crashed, you don't say. So I think we might actually just want to go for broke and remove and restart the okay, so I think what we should do is call it here because I'm starting to get a little bit tired, and my voice is. So I think what we should do next is delete our. Oh, is that just because? Okay, that wrapping leaves something to be desired, but okay. So I think what we should do next is actually just delete our database and see if that works. Yeah, it's been about an hour. Oh, let's try it really quick. Let's see if it works. I wanna know if we can fix our problem really quickly. And if we can, that'd be ideal. And if we can't, I'll cry about it later. I won't cry. It'll be fine. What was I doing? The light delete table. Like Python, deleting data with example. That's what I'm looking for. Create your connection. Delete something. I think we will do new row. Okay, so it's just we're deleting everything from the table. We're not actually removing the table. Okay, so this should just delete everything. Oh, nope, I created the connection, but I did not create the cursor. So the cursor is... Okay, now that should work. There we go. Okay, so now we've deleted everything from our educational resources, and now we should be able to update everything, and I am hopeful... Rachel isn't doing this in like a random IPython notebook and in a random order bad best practices. I hope this isn't how you deal with your databases, but I'm dealing with mine right now. It's fine. Delete everything from this. Add CSV. See what we're doing. Fantastic. All right, let's give this one more shot. And if that didn't fix it, then I will we'll do it next time. That's fine. Rasa run actions. You want all the information? Please give it to me. All right, looking good. And now let's. We're in the right directory. Rasa shell, and I want all the information. I am noticing that there are a couple times when we haven't gotten the reprioritize my my policies. It should be fine. What was I saying? I have been noticing that sometimes the entities are not being extracted, which I'm not a huge. So that I want a course on Rasa. So this should recommend Maddie's course on Udacity. So this was just an error in identifying the intent. Can you suggest a Rasa course? Although I did, because of the way I wrote my responses, still answer the question. Can you recommend a book on ML? I don't think I have any books on. All right, and let's just quickly peek up here and see if these entities were actually extracted or not. Yeah, weird. The resource type is absolutely being correctly identified. It is just being asked again. So I think that's down to my my stories, and I'm gonna have to go through and add more stories. So we'll add some stuff with interactive learning. It'll be fine. Where's my result? Well, okay, first of all, let's see what we passed in. That's going to be important. Resource topic none. Okay, so resource topic should actually be ML here instead. Yeah, okay, so problem with my action. We'll deal with it later. I think we have a resource type. Resource topic was not identified. So there's something wrong with the way the action is executed, and it's happening in the fuzzy matching. So if we look at this here, we can see that the traceback goes to code inside a package. So we may need to change what package we're using or do something a little bit different. And also, it looks like the topics are not always being extracted correctly. So if we look back at our trace back here, back to where we actually said something. So the user message was, can you recommend a book on ML? Book was correctly extracted to the resource type, but interesting. Okay, so ML was extracted as an entity, but it was not mapped to resource topic. So that we're going to have to work on. That's probably a syntax error on my end. So I think that's what we're going to do today. I've got a meeting coming up. Virus. I hope there's not a virus. So we will back next Friday to continue with this project, figuring out what's exactly is going on here. A little bit of a bug hunt. Not entirely sure what the matter is, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Do you have a Discord? I could help you with the Python part of the project. I do not have a Discord. Maybe we should have a Rasa Discord. That up. I know that we've talked about it previously. We do have, if you're a contributor, we have a Slack for our Rasa contributor family. That is one place. But I do not. Yeah. So we'll handle that next Friday. Next Wednesday, we have office hours with somebody fantastic. I think it's Yenny, actually. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure it is Yenny, who is our fabulous engineering manager. So, nope, it's Melinda, also fabulous, one of our customer success engineers. So if you have, especially deployment problems, I know she works quite a bit with folks on deployment. And then after that, it'll be and then on Thursday, we're going to start a new paper. TBD. We're not going to go back to the last paper we read. I think we finished that one. I really enjoyed it. I hope you all did. And then on Friday, we'll be back with live coding, and that's the plan. So I'll see you then. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Wednesday.